So previously we learned about different types of articles, or actually reviewed different types of articles, because this is all stuff that you guys know already. So quick little review before I move into our new stuff today. We had three different groups of articles. Articles définis are known as definite articles, and those are the ones that mean the in English. We have four different versions: le, la, l'apostrophe, and les. Then we have indefinite articles. Indefinite articles are the equivalent of a or an, and those are un and une. There is no different version in front of a vowel. There is no plural of a or an because that is by definition singular. And then we have this other group that doesn't actually exist in English called articles partitifs, partitive articles. And partitive articles are the ones that mean some. And those are essentially de plus the form of the. So de plus le makes du. We can put together de la or de l'apostrophe. De plus les makes the word des. So three different groups of articles: definite, indefinite, and partitive. And in the previous group of notes, we talked about when do you use each type of article, but we're not quite done. There's one other little thing that you need to know about this. Les articles au négatif. So we're going to talk about these articles in the negative. Now, in theory, this is something that you guys know already. There's a phrase that maybe you learned in 7th grade French or French 1, and it is pas de. Pas de might sound familiar to you if your previous French teacher kind of drilled that into your head. So here's what I need you to know about this, and this obviously goes on your notes sheet. Indefinite and partitive articles. Indefinite is un and une. Partitive are the ones that start with a D. Indefinite and partitive articles all change to de in a negative sentence. So an example of this would be, we'll do one at a time here. Je veux une pomme. I want an apple. That's the positive sentence. Je ne veux pas de pomme. I do not want an apple. That's our negative sentence. So une for a or one or an in this case in a positive, but that changes to de when we make our sentence a negative. We have the same thing here. J'achète de la crème. I'm buying some cream. Je n'achète pas de crème. I'm not buying cream. Je mange des carottes. I'm eating some carrots. Je ne mange pas de carottes. I do not eat carrots. So une, de la, and des, all of those change to de in a negative sentence. One more example. Notice what happens here. Je prends de l'eau. I'm having some water. Je ne prends pas d'eau. I'm not having water. De l'apostrophe would change to D apostrophe because of the word with a vowel coming right after it. And that would happen even if this was des or un or une. Whenever this word starts with a vowel sound, you can't put de in front of a vowel sound, so it becomes D apostrophe, essentially just a shortened form of de. So un, une, and any form of de, all of those words change to simply de in a negative sentence. However, you need to know that definite articles, which are the ones that mean the, those do not change in a negative sentence. They stay exactly as they are. So we would say, j'aime les poires. I like pears. Je n'aime pas les poires. I do not like pears. Okay, so even though we have a positive and a negative, we're not changing it here. There isn't really a great explanation I can give for why these change to de, but these don't. I guess the best logic that I can put together is whether or not I like pears, the pears themselves still exist. I like the pears. I do not like the pears. Pears are still in existence regardless of my opinion about them, because remember, we use articles with opinions or kind of like general statements. And so regardless of whether I like them or dislike them, there are still pairs. However, when we take a sentence like, I am eating carrots, I do not eat carrots. Well, there aren't any carrots in the scenario. They are not being eaten. So we kind of use de to negate the existence of the product here. So I'm not wanting an apple. It's not there. That's kind of the best explanation I can give. I don't know if that helps or not, but really the rule is just what you need to know. Le, la, l'apostrophe, and les are fine in a negative sentence, but any of those other articles, those need to change to de in a negative sentence. So we're going to do a little bit of practice with this. There are just 5 sentences here. Your directions are compléter avec le bon article, complete with the correct article. So for each sentence, you need to look at the verb that's being used and the item that comes after the blank, and you need to decide which article goes in the blank. You actually did an activity just like this with our previous set of notes. The only difference this time is that there are some negatives in here. So if it is a negative, then you have to figure out, would I change it to de or would I leave it as whatever the normal article is, depending on what article that would be. So numéro 1, j'aime les fraises, mais je n'ai pas de fraises. So you have to think about the meaning with each of these sentences. Numéro 1 is saying, I like strawberries, but I do not have strawberries. We use les here because this is a preference verb, but in this case, we've changed the verb. It's no longer a preference verb, it's an action verb. And so with an action verb, normally we would use des fraises, but because it's negative, the des changes to a de. Mais je n'ai pas de fraises. So I like strawberries, but I don't have any strawberries. Numéro 2, tu aimes le melon, mais tu n'aimes pas la laitue. You like melon, but you do not like lettuce. We're talking about liking or disliking in general here. And with liking and disliking, we use the definite article, the form of the. That does not change even in a negative sentence. It still stays in that form. Numéro 3, elle mange des tomates, mais elle ne mange pas d'oignons. She eats tomatoes, but she does not eat onions. So this is an action verb. We're going to use des because tomate is plural. This is also an action verb, and oignon is also plural, but because it's negative, des would change to de, and de is going to become des apostrophe because of the vowel following. So the other hint for you is always, if you're doing a fill in the blank or even putting an original sentence together from scratch, read it to yourself, even if it's like reading it in your head. Think about what it sounds like. If something sounds off, there's probably something that needs to be fixed in there because of a vowel problem. Numéro 4. Vous voulez un sandwich, mais il n'y a pas de pain. So we're saying you want a sandwich. So not du sandwich, which would be some sandwich. You probably want the whole thing, a sandwich. Mais il n'y a pas de pain, but there isn't any bread. So since we are saying you want, that's considered more of an action. We use an indefinite article because we would say one sandwich rather than some sandwich. This is also considered an action, the not having, and because it's negative, we would use de. Numéro 5, nous préférons le steak, mais nous avons acheté du poulet ou un poulet. Either of those could make sense. We don't actually have a negative in this sentence, so we don't have to worry about the negative portion. We're saying we prefer steak because this is a preference. We're using a form of the, our definite article, but we bought chicken. Now, either of these could make sense depending on what we bought. If we bought some chicken, like we bought a package of chicken breasts or whatever, that would be du poulet because it's not really a whole chicken. If you bought an entire like rotisserie chicken, then it would be un poulet. So either of those could make sense. It just depends on what you want to put together.